Oh, I have to hit continue. Okay.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Cancer Education Series brought to you by MercyOne and Above and Beyond Cancer. My name is Chris Goodale and I'm the Executive Director of Above and Beyond Cancer. And it's usually my privilege to introduce Dr. Deming. He is off this evening and I am taking over as our coordinator or lead person. So one way or the other, you're stuck with me. So our guest tonight is Amanda Fry, and Amanda is the Cancer Survivorship Coordinator at the Richard Deming Cancer Center, MercyOne Richard Deming Cancer Center. So tonight our conversation is going to be about survivorship, and it's about the journey is the title. Amanda is new to her position, but not new at all to MercyOne. She has been connected to Dr. Deming and the Cancer Center for years and years. After doing her training at the Mercy College Health College, she grew up here in West Des Moines, or I guess I'm in Clive. So she grew up in West Des Moines and went to Valley High School before that. She admitted that she's only moved about 5 blocks away from where she grew up. So I would love to relate to that as I often think very fondly of my neighborhood where I grew up. That'd be very cool to live right next door. So Amanda's going to tell us a little bit about what survivorship coordinating is all about and the vision that is present at the MercyOne Richard Deming Cancer Center for survivorship. So we have a slide to show that to illustrate how close it is to really happening. And this is more easily done without Dr. Deming here because he would be a bit embarrassed since he's humble. But this is a picture that Amanda took today and sent to me. It is of the Richard Deming Cancer Center. So you can see that it's an existing building at MercyOne, but it's being the top floor is being completely renovated and configured so it will be even more conducive for the patient. And Amanda, you'll probably touch on that as well, I would guess, because that's all part of the philosophy that the new cancer center is all about.
Yeah, multidisciplinary and cancer survivorship, complementary therapies. What can we do to make the cancer experience unique for each patient, their loved ones, their family members, and caregivers? Dr. Deming and the Mercy Cancer Center has been passionate about what they do for years. I've been with the Cancer Center for 19 years total now, I think, in acute care on the 8 South floor. And then I went down to work in the radiation oncology department where I got to know Dr. Deming and all of his wonderful partners. And it was at that point that survivorship, it's always been around, Chris, but we never really gave it a title and we've never really done it justice. So I think the term cancer survivor dates back to around the 1980s, which I was just a baby back then. I'm not sure where the last 30 some years have gone, but it was really brought to fruition because cancer treatments were improving. People were living longer. People were being cured of their disease. And we need to really bring that into focus and celebrate survivorship. And it's something that we recognize survivorship as the day you're diagnosed with cancer. Mm-hmm. It's so important to realize it's not just something for someone who's completed their treatments and is 5 years out and considered cured of their disease. It's the big picture. It's the whole picture. It's diagnosis. It's treatment. It's after treatment. It's a lifelong learning process or journey, like I said, through all sorts of phases. Yeah.
Yeah. With Above and Beyond Cancer, we have the same definition, which isn't surprising, I guess, but the day that you are told that you have a cancer diagnosis, you become a survivor. And We do argue that sometimes with people, but we know we're right about that because that's just that's a reality of it, that you're surviving no matter what because you've been that day, if not previous days, with cancer, and certainly you've survived so far. So
Yeah,
your program, our program, is all about optimal living so that you can live the best days you have no matter what.
absolutely. And that vision, that optimal living is different for everybody. And I think in the past with survivorship, you found a support group that you sat around with people of like diagnosis, and they're wonderful. They're great to have, but there's also so much more that we can do for a cancer patient than just an emotional support group. We really need to promote healthy living, decreasing their cancer reoccurrence risks, decreasing the risk of other primary cancers, and finding those tools that physically and emotionally, because that's a huge component, really benefit each person and their family and loved ones. Everyone's different, just like their cancer experience. Survivorship's going to be different for each person as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. People often ask me, so above and beyond cancer, is that like a support group? And I say, well, we often do support one another, but it might be while we're climbing the stairs, or while we're in an indoor cycling class, or outdoor cycling on the bike trails of central Iowa, or or on a journey to Utah, like we're going to do later this summer. So
That's exciting.
it is supporting one another. And I think the other part of it, and I'm sure your program does the same thing, it's not just wholeheartedly the cancer survivors, it's the families, it's the caregivers, it's the children. Anybody that wants to get involved in our programs is exactly who we want to be involved in our programs, because it's all part of that central energy and that excitedness about cancer survivorship that makes it all work.
Absolutely. So important. Yep.
I about something like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. I just, like we have talked about too, and it's not just about surviving, your cancer diagnosis, you're considered cured, but, we've always talked about the philosophy of living with cancer too, and how can we support a patient through that, physically and emotionally. Treatments for cancer have side effects. And a lot of times those side effects are hard on the patient. They're hard on the family to watch their loved ones go through that as well. And but there's also long-term effects, not just the acute side effects as they go through treatment. And we want to help people manage those long-term side effects if they have them, and really bring a quality of life back to them. And as Dr. Deming would say, what brings you joy in life?
Yeah.
What brings you joy every day? Find something. Even in the little things sometimes are the most important. So
sure. So if I were a new patient in the Richard Deming MercyOne Cancer Center, when would I see you? So like maybe my course of treatment is to go through chemo, and maybe that starts next week. Do I come and see you right away? Do I come and see you after my chemo treatment, or where do you fall in the order of a patient's physical visit?
Yeah, so the Mercy Cancer Center, we have a lot of great resources for patients as they go through treatment. And I don't know that it's necessarily appropriate for everyone to meet with me at that point. We have amazing other nurse navigators that are focused on individual cancer types to really get them through that acute phase, the diagnosis phase and the treatment phase, finding all the resources, getting the appointments lined up, mental health resources as well. And so that's where those navigators come into play. My role, and it's an ever-changing and growing role right now. We're kind of seeing what works, what doesn't work. But as of right now, meeting with patients usually at a radiation follow-up or a surgical follow-up, and once they've completed their primary treatment is usually the best time to meet with me. And I can help hook them up with resources that help to find ways of healthy living, modifying the diet, exercise. I'm not talking about running a marathon or biking 30 miles every day. Some people, it's just a walk around the block, because not only does that have physical health benefits, but mental health benefits as well. So really meeting after and finding out what a patient's needs are after finishing their primary treatment, and me helping them find those resources. Also educating them about what they've had done. I think a lot of patients, you get diagnosed, you go through treatment, you go to this appointment, that scan, this scan, and after it's done is when you kind of have that time to process. You're not seeing a doctor every day anymore. The appointments are getting more and more spaced out. There's a fear that comes along with that, I think, for some people. And I want to be that resource, that survivorship resource, that when they know what they need to do for follow-ups. And this is normal for me to move to a year out now. What can I do to incorporate and improve my health and quality of life? And how do I get established with other patients that have been through treatment as well? You and I have talked before, and it doesn't necessarily need to be sitting around a room with a mental health counselor, a social worker doing a support group. Sometimes cancer doesn't even need to be talked about at all, but going to these events with other patients and family members that have been through the process, there's some camaraderie in that and just a sense of security. You don't have to talk about your cancer. You can just be there with other people that have been through that experience.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what Above and Beyond Cancer is all about and it's not, again, not necessarily just cancer survivors. It's the caregivers or anybody who's had that cancer journey. And that's sort of what you said rang true when I was going through my cancer treatments. We jokingly called it the cancer conveyor belt. You just got on and you just did whatever it is they told you to do next. And then when that stopped, it's exactly what you said. So now what? And that's where you come in, which is, I think, that didn't exist 11 years ago when I went through my cancer journey. And so it's really uplifting to know that a position like yours exists and you can be helpful to say, I'm sure one of the first questions you ask the patients or the cancer survivors is, what would you like to do? Or where do you think I could be helpful? And just to hear the answers probably takes you in a whole different direction for everybody you meet with.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can get out a NCCN guideline tool questionnaire, but I think ultimately it's just doing what we're doing. It's sitting down, it's getting to know each person and getting to know their family, and if they have children and what they like to do, and learning about them individually. And between Mercy Cancer Center, Above and Beyond, American Cancer Society, there are so many resources available and opportunities to find. Maybe it's a new hobby, maybe it's book club, yoga, meditation for some, maybe it's riding a bike, the Tuesday night survivor bike ride that I'm going to be signing myself up for to join as well, and get back into shape myself. I can preach all of these, you need to eat a healthy diet and avoid red meats and this and that, and you need so much exercise, but you really need to practice what you preach. So as a nurse, I'm always trying to improve myself. I'm going back to school for my master's degree right now, and that brings me joy most of the time.
Sure.
But it's a fine balance, and I think patience too is self-care and taking that extra time to find something you enjoy. because it's a huge stress reliever, and it can really change your focus and just a breath of fresh air. And as we know, physical activity helps to decrease your risk of cancer,
Right.
cancer reoccurrence. So,
Right. Some of the programs that our program director, Mary Van Hucklem, she does a pre-evaluation of a cancer survivor, and after the 12 weeks of post-evaluation, and some of the findings that she has, it's just astounding. The resting heart rate just decreases tremendously, and flexibility, things that, at 57, one of the things I'm not worried about in my life is my flexibility, but it is very important, and as we become less active, we become less flexible, and it just causes all kinds of joint issues and muscle issues, and but that remaining fluid and trying to get, stay active is a challenge for most people, and programs that you have access to or that we participate in on a weekly basis with Above and Beyond Cancer, it is just a healthy way to optimize your living.
It is. And, we talk about challenges, and, I just finished an epidemiology course, and we talk about different populations and rural populations especially, and what does cancer care look like in the rural population? Because a lot of patients, one of the challenges is driving to and from appointments, that takes them away from work. That's gas money, this, that, and the above. And you can get them through that primary acute treatment, getting them to and from with, Above and Beyond has cancer hotel stay. We have gas cards that we can help patients with, but it's afterwards. Some of them want to transition their care back home to, say, a primary care physician. Well, you need to make sure that primary care provider knows what the appropriate follow-up is for a cancer patient, whichever cancer they're diagnosed with. And thank goodness for technology, Chris.
Right.
We can do virtual telehealth visits here now to make sure that they're getting their screenings and follow-up scans and lab work. We're lucky to work with Mission Cancer, where they have so many satellite clinics available for those patients that do live in the rural communities. And I encourage, and we also with Above and Beyond, you guys have some virtual resources available for patients. You could tell us more about those. The meditation, the book clubs, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, even this program we're recording, and it will be on our YouTube channel. And that has been, not to make you more nervous, but
right.
It's a perfect illustration. I think the most viewed cancer education series has more than 500 views. So it's an illustration that, gosh, if you can't be here or be connected specifically at this particular time, all you have to do is go to YouTube, type in Above and Beyond Cancer, and all of our sessions for the last year will show up. And it's just a tremendous opportunity to get, as a wonderful resource as far as education is concerned, to have all of these at your disposal.
Yeah, I was even joking with a patient the other day. We were talking about, do you need help with smoking cessation? Some of those things, dietitian, this and that. And her husband was with her, and I said, what about cooking classes or events? And she looked at me and said, well, no. And I said, no, not for you, for your husband. She was ready to sign him up. But that's a virtual class that ABNC offers as well, and
right.
With Teresa, and there's just, and we can add to the list. That's what's so great. And I think as Dr. Deming and the Cancer Center, as we grow this program, we'll find more needs that people have, so we can grow together.
Right.
And we really are excited about the new Richard Deming Cancer Center opening up, because one of the main focuses is going to be survivorship. Having a nurse practitioner there eventually that can help simplify, where a patient needs needs to go and a radiation
Right.
oncologist. Just have that one go-to that can also collaborate with those specialists to make sure the patient's getting all their needs. And also in those rural communities, make sure that the follow-ups are being made appropriately. So.
Right. Yeah, and telemedicine is interesting. Just like our offerings on YouTube or through Facebook Live, we do some things there too, as far as yoga and meditation. You know, prior to the pandemic, we had this vision that was a really good idea. And then with the pandemic, it was no longer a good idea. It was a must.
It was a must.
It was just something that now, in our cancer education series, is another illustration of that. Going back to just having it live and in person and not on Zoom or not recorded is something we're trying desperately not to do, and trying to sort of forge our new way into the future, because this is important to have these things recorded so people can watch them afterwards, or they can watch them, or they can share it with a friend. That's another way that this has really been hugely beneficial. And it happened early on. We had a friend who had COVID and she lost her sense of taste. And I said, "Oh, did you know that zinc will really help bring that back?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Oh, I'll send you the YouTube video on it, because we just had that person on, and she was a nutritionist, and she said that would really help you." So, when we got home, we sent her the link, and it did really help. So, perfect illustration of how well this works. And again, it was always our intention at Above and Beyond Cancer to do that. But the pandemic, mother is the necessity of invention. So, or necessity is the mother of all inventions. And I think, it had been invented. It wasn't anything that we came up with, but it really pushed us to use it. And now we don't want to go back.
Right. And it's such a wonderful tool, I think, for patients, even in the acute care setting, that it kept them safe, from COVID and that risk. So, and insurance companies, we were very fortunate, got on board with that and covering those health visits, mental health, the Mercy Cancer Center, another survivorship, wonderful resource is that we provide up to 2 to 3 free counseling sessions through our behavioral health group. And a lot of patients, especially when they're newly diagnosed, Chris, they're going through 5 appointments a week, getting to see this person and that. And so you get overwhelmed. And it was so nice to have that mental health component that they could do telehealth. And it also, in some of the rural areas, the underserved populations, first of all, they were free counseling sessions. Second of all, they could do them by computer, telehealth. And it made it's a great resource. We're lucky to have it. Technology is, I'm hoping in the future too, I think they'll be coming up with survivorship technology programs where patients can actually kind of track their survivorship process online with an app. The American Cancer Society has an app for providers, primary care providers, to know what the survivorship guidelines are and follow-up guidelines are for patients. So technology is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So switching gears a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Richard Deming Cancer Center. So what can you tell us about timeline and how the physical space itself will be more conducive to helping cancer patients and survivors? So give us some insights from the inside, I guess, about.
Yeah. And I'll give you what I've got.
Okay.
So our opening goal is for the cancer center up there is December, January, and we're right on target. We can't believe it. We feel like it's never going to get here, but it'll feel like tomorrow. The space is going to be on the 3rd floor of the Richard Deming Cancer Center. And it's going to focus on one of the biggest focuses, other than survivorship, which will really benefit patients, is a multidisciplinary group. We currently have a lung cancer multidisciplinary program where a patient gets newly diagnosed and they get to meet with a surgeon, a radiation oncologist, a medical oncologist, financial advisor, dietitians, whatever they need. And they get to meet them all in one office space on the same day to really cut back on all the different appointments. And right now we just do lung, but that will grow into, we're hoping to do breast, colorectal, melanoma, and it'll just grow from there. I think a similar, the Mayo Clinic up at Rochester does some similar type of things. And so we're not copying them exactly, but using that model to benefit the patients and make it more convenient and conducive for them. So that's one aspect of the Richard Deming Cancer Center. The other component, we'll have clinical trials. Currently, we have clinical trials that really revolve around treatment, but as I come into it, I'm really hoping to get some survivorship trials going. Survivorship care plans. I think people have heard of those, and it's very beneficial to a lot of patients, where it's a nice typed out 1 to 2 page document that states what kind of treatments they've had, and it also tells them what things they need to be watching for in the future, other things that they might be at high risk of cardiovascular disease, maybe because of certain chemo drugs. So recommendations on future screenings that go along with that, but we don't want it to just be about the survivorship care plan. We want to grow that into all of the other therapies, alternative and complementary therapies that go along with traditional treatment. I think we're going to have a meditation room. We're planning on bringing massage therapy, acupuncture, and I'm not even doing them all justice. So we're working on all of those ideas. We'll have clinical research with us. We'll also have the nurse navigators and genetic counseling. Oh, huge. I don't want to forget about our genetic counseling component. We have a certified genetic counselor, Lauren Winters, and it's free to meet with her. There's no charge. And she can talk to patients about their risk, their family risk, if they qualify for genetic testing. If insurance won't pay for it, there's resources she can find that help affordable out-of-pocket costs. Because, with genetics, it's not just breast cancer, it's BRCA gene anymore. And what we know about the BRCA gene now that we didn't know then was that it also correlates with prostate cancer and ovarian and breast. There's other colorectal genetic mutations, CHEK2, PALB2. So there's that component that's going to be huge. I should get a list out. I think I made a list of everything, all of our ideas that we are coming up with. And so there's still room to grow on those. I hope I'm not forgetting any, the financial resources. We also want to work with the outpatient palliative care program that Mercy Cancer Center has. So yeah, I think we're just really blessed, Chris, to have such a wonderful, broad list of resources available to our patients.
Right.
And their family.
Right. Yeah, that's always a key component because it's not just a lone journey. It's it really, one of the things that I often say is it doesn't affect just one person. It's everybody. And it's in that that counseling component or the education component is so important for not just the person going through the cancer treatments, but certainly their spouse, who gets more questions probably than the patient themselves, and parents or children or whoever else is involved. Certainly.
Yeah.
That being able to answer questions is key because there's so much information, and that's where the value of repeat visits and continued conversation is. You just can't absorb it all at once.
You can't. I mean, I worked, before I came into survivorship, Chris, I was working with breast cancer patients just breast cancer for the last 9 years with Dr. Whitmer and Dr. Susan Beck and Dr. Tiffany Torstensen. And the one thing, these, bless their hearts, they're there for a good hour and a half of just information. And that, gosh, I know I would check out of it probably about 15 minutes in.
Right.
It's a crash course is what I tell them. But the good news is we do have so many wonderful resources, the nurse navigators, and all the physicians and their nurses, that the education piece is there over and over again. And too, as a survivorship navigator or coordinator, I want to be there for when patients don't know who to call.
Yes, right.
Because I can help them with that. I can make that call for them.
Right.
Like, oh, this might be more related to your chemotherapy that you had, and maybe we should get you back in with your medical oncologist, or so things like that.
Right.
So just having the answers or finding the answers if I don't know them.
Yeah, it would be difficult to put on your card that you're the person to email when you don't know who to email.
Yeah, right? No, that should be a good title.
I don't know who to call on this, so I'm calling you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but so back to the cancer center and up on the floor, but it is just, it's going to be very open concept, which we're really excited about. Very bright and just a lot of windows and light, and it's those little things, that you don't want to feel necessarily like you're in a doctor's office. You got enough of those appointments, so we really want that be complimentary as well. It's just the environment and opening and welcoming, and just really excited to get it open. And I'm really excited to have an office again.
Have new doctors been added to the staff, or will there be some kind of change in configuration that some of the doctors will sort of wear different hats depending on what the patient needs, or what if they change during the week, or how is that, any operational changes as part of this?
Well, I don't, there's a lot of up in the airs right now. Now, I know we're focused on a nurse practitioner helping with that survivorship role, Dr. Deming, of course, and his role will be whatever he wants it to be. Sure. Because he deserves it. And so, but I know that they'll be bringing in a new radiation oncologist to kind of cover for Dr. Deming's, he's not leaving radiation oncology, and I don't even know all those details, but just to allow for him to really be present and help grow this survivorship and multidisciplinary focus up on the third floor. So I'm sure there will be changes, but we're just going to grow and adapt with them. It's kind of like survivorship with the journey, and every day looks a little different for patients, and maybe one day you're feeling positive and upbeat about everything, and an hour later you're not anymore. I mean, it's an up and down emotional experience. It's a journey. And
right. Well, and one of the things we talk about with Above and Beyond Cancer and our transformational journeys is, one day you might be helping your friend or your tent mate necessarily, but the next day you may turn your ankle and everybody's going to be helping you, or maybe you just have a bad day and you're just the energy didn't return like you thought it would, or the altitude has you down, or whatever it is that and I think that's true whether it's as you said, the Tuesday night bike ride or the Wednesday night indoor cycling class. Some days you feel it and some days you don't, and I think that's where the sort of the group effort that we've talked about before really kicks in.
Yeah, that camaraderie, that fellowship, that, just having people that are like-minded, that have been through cancer diagnosis and journey. And like we've said, it's not necessarily something you have to sit down and talk about your inner feelings. It's just being around people that have been through something similar. And I've met with a wide variety. I know women who they want to be done with their cancer treatment, Chris, and they want to pretend it never happened. You know, that's their coping. They don't want to talk about it. They just kind of want to move forward with their lives as if it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think later, as they get more and more further out from their treatment, they realize that it's the cancer diagnosis that has made them who they are today. And hopefully they get to the point where they can embrace that and enable themselves to grow emotionally from that. But I also have women or patients who aren't even done with their treatment yet that are like, sign me up. I'm ready for it all. I want every resource available, and I want to be a resource for a new patient. I want to talk to them about my experience. And so it's just it's a huge spectrum.
Right.
And we want to meet all the needs in between.
Well, and that's the value of having somebody like you that can meet individually with cancer survivors and their families to say, hey, where would you like to go, and how can I help you get there? You know.
Yeah.
And that's a tremendous asset that, again, didn't exist when I was going through my cancer treatments. And but that balance that you're talking about is a real challenge for most cancer survivors, because you don't necessarily want to lead with that. You know, when you're, you know, I remember a funny story when I first became the director back in September of 2018. I wrote a paragraph to be on the website, and, you know, just about who I was and what I had done. And I asked Dr. Deming to look it over, and he said, you know, what's funny is I don't see anywhere in here that you're a cancer survivor. Why did you leave that out? And I said, I didn't want to prioritize that. And he said, you're helping to lead a cancer organization. It's kind of important that you put that you're a cancer survivor in there. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'll put it in toward the end. And it's a difficult thing to try to balance in your life. You know, what kind of importance should that weigh in your life? And people like you, professional, well-educated people like you can help us through that. And I think that's of high value.
I hope so. I just know that the one thing I love to do is be myself. And, you know, I'm a relatable person. I used to be I'll admit it, I used to be I'm an ex-smoker, you know, and so I look at the lung cancer screening program that Mercy offers, and assistance for patients to help quit if they want to. And sometimes I want to make them do it even if they don't want to, but it's their choice ultimately. You know, and I think that I'm blessed that way, that I have faced adversity. I have met so many people that face adversity every day, which makes me a non-judgmental and I just want to relate to everyone. I am 45 with a 4-year-old at home. So, you know, it's just being myself, and I want to be there for whoever needs me. So that's what I'm here to do. And the role, I'm so fortunate, Chris, is so broad and general and really, truly kind of undefined right now. And we get to grow that and develop this role and make it unique to every patient, every family.
That's so good. Now, as we prepared a little bit beforehand, you had put together some facts and figures. Did you want to share any of that, or did it all come out in our conversation here tonight?
Yeah, it's all just sort of come out in the conversation. I wouldn't mind, and I don't know if you got the slide, but you can add it later. I just printed off my information, but I just run down a list, and I'm not a list person, but you know, these are just things that if anything piques anyone's interest, contact me and we can talk about it. You know, there's the MercyOne Cancer Center, the weekly cancer education series and cycle class, like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And I highly encourage, I had never done a cycle spin class before I started working for Dr. Deming, and he promised me on day one I would survive. And I did. And because you can make it what you want. You know, there's anyone in the group that they've got, some of them would even bring their grandchild in, you know, and put them on a spin bike and let's go. And really make of it what you want to make of it. And then the fellowship afterwards with the fruit smoothies and just getting to know people. So there's that. There's the Next Step Fitness program that MercyOne offers, and they have paired with Above and Beyond. So if there's a fee associated, I believe Above and Beyond covers that expense.
Right, we sure do. Yep.
Yeah, which is phenomenal because it's basically a free 30-day to the wellness center. The mental health counseling, of course, Above and Beyond all of your optimal living programs, genetic counseling, mental health counseling. Excuse me while I read through a list. There's so many, which is great. Lymphedema and occupational physical therapy services, lung cancer screening, smoking cessation, even do some urogynecology services for pelvic floor exercises for women, even men who have been through prostate cancer treatments. Cardiology, you know, we've got a great cardiology group at MercyOne, and patients who have had certain treatments for certain cancers need to be screened from a cardiology standpoint.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because of chemotherapy or radiation treatments. That and, you know, just overall, if you're obese, if you smoke, you know, these are all things that just need to get established for screening purposes and prevention.
Right.
Financial counseling, we have financial counselor available to work with. Palliative care. I know we had Tammy on a couple weeks ago, Tammy Singleton, talking about the twins, just to name a few. So,
yeah, that's all good.
Yeah.
As we wrap up here, any questions from here, or feel free to use the chat box or the question and answer if you're joining us on Zoom. Otherwise, this has been great. I'm eager for the new space, but I think the really exciting news is that your services are available now, and that your place, and while you're physically maybe not in the exact same, the exact beautiful space that will exist in November or January or December or January, the activity and the important part is really the interaction that you have with cancer survivors. It's already begun.
Absolutely. And it's free to talk to me and meet with me. I am here for you. And that's what I want to do. And like I said, this is sort of a work in progress as I grow in this role. I'm hoping my 19 years of oncology experience has brought me some wisdom. And I just want to be here for the people we care for and their family members. And even for those family members, the patients that maybe are no longer with us, you know, it's important for a patient family that they're never forgotten, you know, even though maybe they didn't survive their cancer diagnosis. I think it's still a nice connection that family members that, you know, that are still alive, they can participate in these survivorship programs, because it really helps remind them of their loved one and build that fellowship with other people that have been through it too. So it's not just for the cancer patient, it's for everyone. And it's not just for those that are cured of their cancer. I think, you know, living with cancer, or even those that maybe didn't survive, we want their family members as part of our family as well.
Yep, absolutely. More than welcome on any Above and Beyond Cancer activity or program that we have. To me, that's been one of the greatest values and one of the things that attracted me most to Above and Beyond Cancer is it's any kind of cancer, and anybody who is connected to a cancer survivor in any way, as you said, even if they're not here today, they still carry that value and that cancer experience, and we value that and welcome everybody to be involved in our programs as well. So we're much alike that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, two quick things I want to mention that are coming up. That I think is just going to be awesome. Hyper bike ride that we have coming up from Above and Beyond, and that is on June 13th. It's a Sunday, and you probably know more about it than I do, but I got online and signed up for it myself today. You can make a donation, but it's free of charge, you know.
Right.
And so I'm going to bring my husband and my daughter, and so get on aboveandbeyond.org, and you can sign up for that.
Right.
That's going to be a great day.
Sunday the 13th starts at 9 o'clock in Slater. And we'll go to Woodward and have a ceremony and then turn around and head back. The total distance is 25 miles and it's almost all flat on the High Trestle Trail, which is awesome. Really beautiful.
Yes, I do like the fact that it's all flat. And there's a few restaurants and cocktails along the way.
Right. Yeah. It might be early on the front end, but yeah, by the second leg, there'll be some afternoon availability for those cocktails. Yeah.
Right. Maybe an afternoon beer.
Right. Not that we're promoting that, but it is available. Yeah.
But it is available, as well as non-alcoholic beverages and water.
Definitely some good food. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We'll have cost.
Also, we've got the Cancer Center Cancer Survivor Day coming up. That will be Sunday, September 12th. We usually do it in June, but things got kind of delayed with COVID last year and on and on. So we're going to be doing that Sunday, September 12th. It'll be at the Blank Park Zoo. More information to come on that. So
that's great. Yeah. That should be fun. Yeah. Well, Amanda, thank you. This has been a wonderful and insightful. And we did record this and it will be on our YouTube channel. Just again, go to YouTube and type in Above and Beyond Cancer. And it will also be on the MercyOne website. If you go on their MercyOne website, type in the Cancer Education Series and all of these will pop up because as they also share the recordings. And like I said, it's a great resource because there's probably now more than 50 of these that have been recorded. And so if you have a specific topic, you can just go through and pretty easily find exactly what you're looking for. So this has been a very, very educational for me, and I'm sure for everybody that's been connected. So thank you, Amanda, and good luck with your new position.
Thanks. I'm excited, and just come see me. I'm available. So.
And if they do want to find you, they can do that through the MercyOne website as well, right? Just type in your name.
Yeah, Mercy Cancer Center, and then or email me is great. I did send you a slide with my contact information that you can put up at a later date when you can get that loaded, and just Amanda Fry, and it is F-R-Y. I got lucky. I married to a 3-letter name. And you can email me at Mercy or call me, anything. I'm just available.
Wonderful. Well, good luck, Amanda, and thanks very much for your time this evening, and we wish you all the best.
Well, and thank you for having me, and thank you for all of you that you guys do for our patients and their family. It's just a great collaborative relationship, and we're just truly blessed to have this because there's, in my opinion, there's really nothing like it.
Yeah,
we're very blessed.
Yeah. Amen. All right. Thanks again. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, Amanda.
Okay. Talk to you later.